Hello again. This is just a brief video to talk about something which many of us have noticed lately, and this is the way in which black people are able to say anything they please about history without anybody daring to tell them that they are ignorant and ill-informed. Even if the person concerned is no more than an actress in a soap opera who knows nothing at all about history, she will be accorded respect and her views treated as gospel truth simply because of the colour of her skin. Take one of the actresses from the new series of Bridgerton, for example. The thumbnail to this video is a picture of a page from the Irish television magazine TV Now, and it is part of an interview with Adjoa Andoh, who plays Lady Danbury in Bridgerton. She was born in Bristol, so her ignorance of British history really is inexcusable. She says that 50% of the British Navy was African at that time, and goes on to say this was a fact. She says that 20,000 black people were living in the centre of London in the Regency period, and states that as a fact too. She says also that Queen Charlotte, who was born in 1744, was descended from Alfonso III of Portugal. This is actually a fact. It's the implications of that fact that are mad. Let's just look at this rationally. The idea that half the Royal Navy at the time of the Battle of Trafalgar was African is so bizarre as to defy belief. There were certainly black sailors. One of them is shown at the base of Nelson's column. There's a bas-relief image from the Battle of Trafalgar of the death of Nelson, and you can see that there's a black guy there. That's perfectly reasonable. There were quite a few black sailors at the time, not just black, but there were Spanish people, Arabs and all sorts of other nationalities. But the idea that half of them were African is absolutely loopy. 20,000 black people living in the centre of London in 1800 is a very strange idea, and I don't know what ground she has for believing this. I've seen this stated before on black history sites, but no reference is ever given for a source. At that time, say in 1800, there were about 1 million people living in London. Now, I don't know how she's defining the centre of London. Let's assume that right in the middle, let's assume that, say, the central tenth, say 10% of London will be considered the centre. That would be 100,000 people living in the centre of London. If 20,000 of them were black, that would mean in the centre of London during the Regency period, 1 person in 5 would have been black. Now, this isn't mentioned in any records of the time, nor do any contemporary pictures show this was the case in central London. Alfonso III, whom she also mentions, was indeed an ancestor of Queen Charlotte, and he may well have had a mistress from North Africa who might possibly have been black. It's unlikely. She was more likely to be an Arab or a Moor. But okay, let's concede she might have been black. All this was happening in 1250. That's 500 years before Charlotte was born. So it would be a little bit as though today somebody had a single black ancestor in Tudor times during the reign of Queen Elizabeth I, and then they came out noticeably black today, 500 years later. It's a sort of mad thing that fanatical racists used to believe, that 1 drop of black blood could cause black descendants to suddenly crop up, babies to be born black centuries later. It's absolute rubbish. I mean, did anybody seriously think that 1 black ancestor 500 years ago could cause someone to be black, born black today? It's not true. As I say, this silly woman is unchallenged about this nonsense purely and only because she is black. And this isn't an exceptional case. This is happening a lot now. Black people are being given carte blanche to say anything they please about history, and nobody likes to contradict them or explain that they're wrong.